Good morning. Oh, I'm sorry. Good afternoon. Oh, it's cold. This is the first time in a few days that I've been able to get into the shop. Oh, just fired up my heater just a little while ago. I got this meter on eBay last week, I guess it was. And according to the temperature, you don't need the temperature probe in this. 28 degrees in this shop, and that's just with this going. So we're not going to be in here too long, I'll tell you that much. I'm using the Sony Bloggy here because it does. This is the not the Bloggy Touch, as I said before. I got some things here that I want to show you and explain to you. So hang on a minute. First of all, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos, and a lot of guys say WD-40. That is not really a very good option for frozen doors. 91%, which is the highest you can get. Isopropyl alcohol, and I just went down and bought this bottle and marked on it for the shop because I had to use the one I had for the shop. I put it in a spray bottle, and the doors on the 90 Econoline, the big van, was frozen solid on the door gaskets, the rubber. So I sprayed about half of the contents of this bottle on the door all the way around, let it sit for a couple minutes, and the door opened right up. And it was all frozen with water on the rubber itself. And then I started the big van, and believe it or not, that old girl started right up. So the next time my door handle freezes, this is the stuff you want to use. Not anything else. So this is just a little bit of information from what I've experimented with and what videos I have been watching. Use isopropyl alcohol. It comes in 50%. I don't recommend that. That's half water. 70% and 99%. That's the highest you can get. Unless probably you get the medical grade or whatever, which, you know, I got this from Walgreens. And before that, it was Rite Aid, and the highest they ever had was 91%. So that's what I use. So I had to replace the bottle for my shop here. So we're keeping this here because I bought a big bottle for the house. I replaced what I used. Okay, now over here there are 2 cans of silicone. Now, I'm going to follow the advice of a lot of the YouTube videos that are out there for coating the rubber gasket on the door of your vehicles with silicone on a rag or a paper towel. Spray that. Don't spray all over, because if you want to paint it, you'll never be able to. And silicone works, but here's the problem. I had these for quite a few years. These 2 cans here, these are petroleum based. Apparently you cannot get pure silicone. If you look at the ingredients, and I'm going to try to get a close-up with this Sony Bloggy, they are both petroleum based. So in other words, you spray this on the rubber, being that it's petroleum, which is oil. It contains silicone, but it also contains oil. You don't want that. Oil and rubber does not mix. Now, for those of you who say petroleum jelly, no way. I've been watching, and there's a guy that was using that, and I read the comments on his video. It's one of the worst things you can use. It gets on your clothes when you get in and out of the vehicle. It's a mess. Don't use it. Use silicone. But you can't get pure silicone. Now, back in the 60s, and early 70s. For 11 years, I worked for a vending company. At that time, I don't think you can get it anymore, you used to get pure silicone spray, because we used to use it on the vending machines. On your candy machines where they have the little flappers, you raise them all up, you just take your finger and you go like that, and all the little flappers go up, and then you put your candy bars in it. Well, I did that kind of work for 11 years. Silicone spray, they had pure silicone spray. Being that it's in the vending business, you don't want to use anything that has petroleum in it when you got food. So we used to use silicone spray a lot back then, and when I was working for the vending company. I just got back from my hardware store. He has the Permatex. That's all he has. And I had the fellow look up. There was a young fellow over there. Now, they're usually not knowledgeable, but this particular guy wasn't very knowledgeable at all, but he did read it, and it contains petroleum. And he tells me, well, petroleum is your expellant. I says, no, it is not. Petroleum is oil. I think you better go back to school. But this is a different fellow. This isn't my usual guys that wait on me, because they are very knowledgeable. So all they have is the petroleum-based silicone. So, and you go to Walmart, all you're going to get is maybe something like this, or another one, but they're all going to be petroleum-based. So I'm going to have to use these, because I guess unless you're in the food business, you might be able to get it, but I haven't been able to find pure silicone spray. Now, when we used to use pure silicone spray when I was working for the vending company, you can spray this a little bit on your fingers and you feel that viscosity. It's very slippery. You know, it's got a certain feel to it. You know it's silicone. When I spray these on a little piece of paper or something, or plastic, it feels like oil. It does not have silicone. It doesn't feel like silicone. It feels like more like oil, penetrating oil. So I'm going to get you a close-up of this. I looked at it, and it didn't say anything about petroleum, but it's a blend of silicone. But it doesn't feel like silicone. So, not like the stuff I'm used to when I worked for the vending company. That was pure silicone. Matter of fact, you overspray on that, you can't paint anything. Because once that's on there, you can't get it off. No matter what you do. So when you put this on the door seals, you spray it on a little rag or paper towel and wipe it on there, but don't get it on the metal unless you don't care about painting it. So it doesn't say anything about petroleum, but I know it does, because it wouldn't say flammable. I don't think silicone by itself is flammable. So that, in other words, it contains petroleum. This is the Permatex brand. Now let's go to the solder seal. This is an old one. Boy, these cans are cold. They've been sitting out in the other shed here. This also says flammable, and this doesn't feel like silicone either. And the reason I have two cans is because one of them, they're both about half full. When I bought it, it didn't feel like silicone in my fingers when I was going like this. It didn't have that silicone. It felt like there was nothing there but a light film of ordinary oil. It didn't have that silicone feel. After working with silicone for so many years, I know what it feels like. So, again, I can't really read that. So let me stop the video and read it and get back. Okay, you see right here, petroleum distillates. See it? Contains petroleum distillates. Okay? You don't want petroleum of any kind on rubber. Now, there's a lot of different kinds of rubber, and I'm not a chemist. I'm not an expert on that stuff. I do know that rubber and oil does not mix. These cans here are silicone with petroleum. So, that's where we're at right now. So, ladies and geraniums, I'm going to answer some of your comments by way of this short video. Did I say short video? Well, anyways, I have an appointment tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. my local garage for that idler pulley. Now, a lot of you have told me by way of comment that I should get that taken care of ASAP. And that's what we're planning on doing. It screamed like a banshee this morning when I started it. And it continued for at least 10 to 15 minutes while I was warming the car up. You don't get a lot of heat out of that minivan, not like our 85 Plymouth Reliant. That really blowed out the heat. You burn yourself, it comes out so hot. This is very warm but not hot, so you're freezing driving that car, and my legs get cold very easily, and that's why I feel the cold. So it takes a long time for that car to warm up, and the temperature gauge seems to be about where it always was when I got it. So I don't think there's a problem with the thermostat. But anyways, that squealed like a banshee. Now, some of you are saying, well, I think one of my viewers mentioned something about the alternator extension. Well, I don't know what you mean by alternator extension. There's a pulley on it. I don't know anything about what he's talking about, an extension. But anyways, I doubt it. I've got an appointment tomorrow. I'm going to bring it over. And I told him, about the situation. And if I spray it when I can get the oil in there, sometimes I hit it just right, because I got to be like that far away, because the extension tube isn't long enough on the reason I use WD-40 is because that's got the longest extension tube of anything I got. I've got penetrating oil that are in cans smaller than this that have the little red nozzle on it. Now, I can extend it, but I don't have anything now to do that. I'd have to go buy it at the hardware store. But when I'm able to hit the mark while that engine's running, the howling goes away, the screeching. The colder it is, as I said, the more it screeches and the louder it gets. Like if I go out there now and start it, you won't hear it at all. And as it quiets down, all you hear is that little rattling sound, like it's, like I heard on one of the YouTube videos. So I'm almost 100% sure it is the idler. Now, in addition to the idler, from what I understand, but I don't have the book on the van, because I can't work on them things anyways. I can't work on these newer cars. They're too cramped. And then I'm working outside in the brutal cold, which I physically cannot do, or I am working in hot and humid weather, which physically I cannot do. So my days of doing that kind of stuff is over. On the old vehicles, I never had a problem. Just slap a fan belt on it and tighten it up. On the generator, remember the generator? And you're good to go. I've done water pumps. I've done timing chains on 318 engine on our 70 Dodge Polara. So I've done all that stuff years ago. So, anyways, there is, besides a stationary idler, which I pointed out on that video, below that, from what I've been looking at on a YouTube video of the same vehicle, guy was showing a close-up of underneath doing it, there is a tensioner also. Now, I don't know if the tensioner is making noise, but I do know the idler is, because when I am able to get some lubricant in there, it quiets down. Now, I agree, some of you have said not to spray it because you're going to damage the belt. Well, I asked my mechanic, if the belt's bad, then he'll change it. Hopefully I don't think it's the alternator. We certainly don't have the money to have that done. As it is now, it could be several $100s to have this job done. He gets $95 an hour, so you take it from there. And that's the way it is with all the garages around here. You ain't going to get any that are less. Now, these fellas that I run this local garage, and they've done my bumper on the back of that van. I have a video on that. They're very good guys over there, and they treat us good. And they don't always charge right at the book. In other words, if they spend an hour on it, they might charge me $100 or $125 counting the part. So, so I mean, it's when you have a vehicle, you got to maintain them, and I understand that. Now, we've had this vehicle, I believe, for 4 years now. I'll have to go back and look. It's either 3 or 4 years. And it's always screamed like a banshee ever since we got it. And the fellow that had the van says, yes, he kept it in the garage, so it never got really, really cold. Probably went down to 40 or 45 in his garage. He has an attached garage to the house. So this vehicle was always garage, and that's why it was nice condition. And it did make a little noise then too, but not like it does now. But the colder it gets, the louder that thing will scream and howl. And like I say, if it's 30 degrees or above, you'll probably not hear it or just barely notice it. And then when it's fully warmed up, you don't hear it at all. So I doubt it's the alternator. I hope it's not the alternator, because that's going to be the idler and the alternator. Well, that would be my luck. So anyways, that's it. Let me move this out of the way. When you buy something from eBay, you're spending $15 or $18. Maybe once a week I'll spend $15 to $20. So, that's quite a difference from hundreds of dollars, which we don't have. I have a small amount of money that I can spend on my hobby. Now, the reason I bought this is it has no contact voltage. There's a little thing up on top here that is no contact, and all it does is beep, and it's a flashlight. A nice strong magnet on the back, and a decent display, lighted display. Frequency counter, which I can't read now without getting my, it reads capacity. I tried it up to 100 microfarads, it reads there. I put it on my function generator, which will read up to 2 megahertz. It reads right up to 2 megahertz. I didn't try it on the ICO 324, but according to the specs, I don't think it's supposed to read that high, but it does. So it's a good little meter, and it's got the beep so I can hear it for continuity. Do I need it? Well, probably not. I've got enough meters. I ran it to its paces, and it reads right on with my other meters, and also right on with the B&K. So the line voltage readings are just about right on. So that's what I do when I first get something like that, is I run it to its paces. And it's pretty close to the Fluke. I think the Fluke is reading a little bit low on line voltage. The Fluke 73 on 3 other meters, counting this one and the one I just showed you, the B&K, all jive within a half a volt of the AC line voltage. This reads 1 volt low on AC line voltage. It's got a fresh battery in it. So I've had that Fluke 73 probably since 2000. I would say 2000. So it's been a very good meter for me, and you know, it's off just a little bit on that, but I wouldn't worry about it. I don't worry about 1 volt, you know. And it's been too brutally cold for me to get this thing in, because I got to make a wooden box and mount this on the wall with a cord coming out in the plug. But I can't do anything in this brutal cold weather. Today, the weather is getting a little bit warmer. So, it's still brutally cold. I think it's supposed to be kind of like mid to upper 20s today for a high. You hear that, John, in Arkansas? And you cry because you can't work on your Thunderbird when it gets below 60 degrees. Come on. Talk about us northerners. What are you going to do if the temperature drops down like it does here? Come on, John. Be a man about it. All right. That's it. So now I got my new fresh bottle of isopropyl alcohol for the shop for cleaning printed circuit boards and getting stuff off of them, glues and things. And I've got a 32-ounce bottle of this, 91%, that I'm keeping in the house, and I can add it to the spray bottle whenever we get freezing rain or anything, whereas the doors are going to freeze up. And I'll tell you, just spraying this stuff on with a sprayer, you set the sprayer to stream, not spray, and get right in the crack of the door all the way around. And it won't hurt to spray your locks with this either. You can use windshield de-icer, but I think this is cheaper. All right, enough chattering. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching.